Okay, it's recording whenever you guys are ready.
So Stuart, what was the injury?
It was a shoulder injury. In fact, it was a while ago, but I can still feel it now.
Okay. How did the injury actually occur?
It was during a canoeing event. So it was slalom canoeing. You must have seen it. It's a sort of changing direction downriver. Yeah. It was on a river, North Yorkshire, so it was a natural river rather than one of the man-made things. It was competitive, so it was against the clock. You get penalties for missing any of the gates or touching any of the gates. The time penalties for that are really significant, so it's really important to do it clean and do it fast. The water was low, the river level was low, so there were a lot of rocks showing, which was one of the problems. And if you've not done this event, you get 2 runs. You get a first run, then you get a second run. Your best time counts, yeah, and goes through to to the leagues and what have you, and your ranking in the league tables. And just like in football, you can go up or you can go down at the end of the season. So that was the event. Now I'm told you how it happened. Okay, first run down, bit of adrenaline as you do, and you're digging in. And one of the things I needed to do was turn to the right. Techniques had changed. It had changed in the UK from trailing the paddle and pushing the back of the boat round, which was slow and had a braking effect, to a new sort of European technique, which was to get the paddle very high like this, well forwards, pull the front of the boat round. But you're working with the paddle angle out like this, and you're having to resist the force of the water. I was doing that, the paddle hit the bottom, hit a rock, jarred very suddenly, but the inertia of my weight and the weight of the boat kept going, pulled my shoulder well back suddenly, and it all went wrong. Missed the gate, picked up penalties, got off balance to the point that I was going to go over, needed to do a big recovery stroke, which is going to be quicker than doing the Eskimo roll thing. So that too added extra strain, limped to the end of the run. Yeah, I knew there was something wrong. So that's how it happened.
What was the extent of the injury?
Well, listen, it's a few years on. If you just come here, you'll feel it. Just come around here, and so if you stand somewhere there, because it's not easy because you're the experts rather than me. So if you just sort of like face me there, put your hand just on my shoulder here.
Yeah, you can feel it clear.
You can feel it. It's
still there.
So it's still there now, and I mean, what they told me was it's the structures, the rotator cuff and ligaments holding the shoulder in that have been damaged.
Just how long ago was it?
It's a few years ago now, and do you know what? It caused me to retire from competitive sport and canoeing because the risk was apparently that my shoulder was going to dislocate. And that would give me a long-term problem, so retire now.
So that was pretty much
That was the outcome of it.
Right.
And a few years on, as you've just said, it is still
Yeah,
clicking away there.
Who do you feel is responsible for the injury? Do you think it's your fault or the people who maybe...
Well, do you know, I was under pressure. I was under pressure because it was middle towards back end of the season, not long to get your points in. I hadn't got enough points to safely go up to the next level. So I was either maintaining the position or I was at risk of going down. So I put myself under a lot of pressure. So it's probably me.
What about the people who actually let the event take place in the low waters? Is that...
Well, there was adequate. It's my bad luck. I was in the bad place, dug the paddle too deep, hit a rock. Other people didn't have that problem. So the competition went ahead, and I think it's just part of the course, high water, low water or whatever.
And I've got, what was the most frustrating thing about the injury?
Well, I'll tell you, at first, I get to the end of the line, and of course the coach is waiting for me. The coach is waiting for me, you know something's gone wrong, you know, because they sort of pace you down, the guy's following you down the bank with a stopwatch, he knows what time I should be hitting, and he knows there's something wrong. First thing he's saying is, what went wrong there? And I've got him saying, I'm alright, because there's a second run. You know, I can make this up, second run. So I'll say, no, it's alright, you know, I just made a mistake, and I caught the bottom. So I wasn't giving away much at that stage. I don't think he was convinced. But the frustration was what you asked.
Yeah.
The frustration was the coach wasn't having any of that. He knew what had happened. Because he could see paddle, hit bottom, bounce up and down. That won't happen in the water. So he knows. And he knows that it wrenched my arm severely back. And he wanted to pull me out for the second run. So the frustration is, first run didn't count. Second run, if I'm not in it, I'm picking up no points from that competition. So in my head, I want to do the second run. In my head, all I want to do is pick up some points. I don't want to be shown on the records as having retired from the event, no points. So that, yeah, that was frustrating.
Okay. What was your initial feeling when you were injured?
Well, I suppose I've said that, funnily enough, I mean, it hurt like hell. I was pretending it wasn't there. Pretending that I could just work this off. I've got at least 2 hours before the next run. So I've got time to do something about it. I've got time to sort of, you know, get warm, move it around, free it up, you know, take some paracetamol or whatever. I've got time. So I was pretending it hadn't happened. Focus on the next run. Everything.
When
Focus.
it did happen, did you know straight away that, you know?
Well, that's really weird. It's weird you should say that, because you like split personality. There's a bit of you trying to pretend it hasn't happened, but there's another little bit saying, "No, you hurt yourself." Yeah, there's a bit, and then there's like an internal argument on who's going to win, you know. But any competitor doesn't want to give in, yeah. So the stronger voice always is, "You can do this." Stronger voice was always, "It's all right. You can get through this," and just ignore that. No, you've hurt yourself. Don't be silly.
You did say you felt kind of responsible because that you didn't pick up enough points in previous rounds. Do you think if you picked up those points in the other rounds, you wouldn't be like as frustrated with yourself as when it happened?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because the thing is you have to choose your events. You know, you don't go to every event in the year. You build, you plan the events that you're going to go to your strengths. So there were certain courses that suited people who've got flat out speed, other courses that suit technical ability, so the ability to change direction quickly. So I picked out the beginning of the season, these are the events I was going to go to, this is my potential to pick up points. And I went for the more technical, because there were people who could beat me on flat out speed.
So you wouldn't change the courses that you did then?
No, it was all calculated. You know, if I just did averagely okay, I was going to stay in position.
Right.
If I picked up a certain number of points, got into the top 5 in a number of these events, I would be in the top 10%. I would go up to the next league. So it was worked out as pre-season. You know, which events you're going to go to.
After the injury, was you most frustrated at actually the injuries happened, or that how long it took to recover?
Well, to be honest, there's quite a few things going on here, because the frustration was I wanted to go back on, and the coach didn't want me to go on, and the coach won. So, you say frustration, I don't think it was frustration. I was really, really put about. I was stomping around. I was kicking things. I was well upset, because what I'm doing now is writing off my chances of picking up any points, putting myself in the danger zone of not even staying in the rankings that I was in.
So was it more of a realisation that you actually had a serious injury? You knew that as an
It took some time because I'm still denying it. I'm still saying no, I'm all right. Coaches having none of it and wants to pull. Well, did pull me out. You know, behind my back, went to the officials, pulled me out of the second run. So that gap then closes. The next competitor takes your place. So that was it. It was done. So yeah, frustration. Now you say long term. Long term, we're talking several months. Next season, I'm underperforming. And I'm very nervous at that injury. And it's only then that the frustration comes that, you're not going to get back to where you were. But that took a long while.
When it first happened, was there any fear you'd never fully recover from it?
No, absolutely not, because in my head was that I was doing the second run. It was going to be okay. I would at least pick up points. Yeah, because I wasn't ever going to finish last. There were beginners take part in these events, trying to build up some points. I was never in that position. I was always going to pick up some points. And if I could have got down that second run, I would have had some points. I wouldn't have been nowhere. So, no question about it, I was taking the second run.
Okay, so you said the injury ended your career as a
Down the line, yeah.
Would you be nervous if you were going canoeing now?
Well, it's different now, not for leisure now, because you haven't got the adrenaline rush, you haven't got the clock running, you haven't got, you pick your own line if you're going for leisure use, but the line is designed, by the people who set up the competition to test you. It's technically difficult. So no, it's not at all that,
Do you still canoe for leisure now?
Yeah, it's not a problem because you work, you're not on rocky
Competitive,
rivers,
it's not competitive.
low water, competitive.
Do you ever feel like when you're canoeing, do you ever feel a twitch in your shoulder and it makes you a bit anxious
No.
about?
No, not at all. It's only with the pressure of the competition.
Alright.
Well, of course, I did try getting back into that. There's a whole program designed. You don't give up there and then, pick up an injury and that's it.
Yeah.
There's a whole program that you go through to sort of get yourself back to where you need to be.
Did the injury cause, or has it caused, any friction between friends and family? And what these recently said?
Well, only in the respect, not now of course, because it's a while ago, and certainly nothing from family. Other competitors, yeah, because I was in a club. It was a club set up, so you represent your club, and so my bad fortune was somebody else's opportunity.
Yeah.
So the club put somebody forwards to the competitions.
Did you speak to the person that stepped up in your place? Did you?
Well, it's funny really because I was out at that stage. I didn't get to go to training. I was having some therapy, some rehab stuff, so I didn't go to training, but I was aware it was still going on. And yeah, I went, and you stand on the bank and you watch people, and there's somebody else in your place.
How did you feel about that?
Well, they were getting on all right. Coach was working with them. Coach asked if I was all right. I sort of say, yeah, I'm all right, but that's it. That's the end of the conversation, because he knew I was in sort of rehab type stuff, and his focus was on the competitive team. So
you're feeling a bit jealous, maybe?
a bit.
Jealous.
I was feeling excluded.
So he's kind of putting on a brave.
It's like
face.
if you're in the rankings and you're picking up the points, you're in. If you're not, you're out. It was as easy as that.
Yeah.
And I was out. Frustrating. because I couldn't speed up the rehab.
Would that be the one word you'd use if you had to sum the whole injury up in one word?
Well, I don't know, bad luck. I've changed it to bad luck. At the time, I was angry. At
Nice.
the time, I was frustrated. Time to reflect. It's bad luck. I can't blame the rock for being there. I can't. Who can I blame for digging the paddle deep? Who can I blame for it being low water? It's bad luck. Set of circumstances.
Did you get a lot of support off your friends and family?
Yeah, not always helpful.
And,
Do you know, people want to be nice to you. Say, it don't matter. Well, it does matter. Nothing matters more in the world than winning.
Was it a bit like, did you feel a bit awkward kind of taking their words when they were trying to...
It wasn't helping. What I needed was somebody to tell me it was going to be alright, that I would get back to full fitness, that I would be back next season, pick up the points, back to where we wanted to be. That's what I needed. I needed that vision of where we were going, not the, oh, it don't matter.
So more reassurance to anything.
Well, no, I wanted something more definite. Family, friends were doing the reassurance, it'll be okay, you know, you don't have to do this, you do something else. It won't stop you going in a boat. I wanted somebody to tell me I could pick up points. I would be on a podium position.
Previous to this injury, had you had a serious injury before, so did you know what to expect?
No, nothing.
So, you know, like with the league table and things
Yeah.
like this, was like after you'd reflected, after a few days, did you think, yeah, I'm not going to be able
No, it
to...
wasn't as quick as that. It wasn't as quick as that. You know, in the first few days, it's still very much, you know,
Dream's still on.
drink's still on. You know, you're still taking the medication, doing the cold packs, not moving much because it is still very new.
Yeah.
And so you know it's going to hurt in the first few days. No, it took much longer than that. You know, the rehab was a 6-week program.
After that competition where you got injured, did you
Yeah.
try and come back sooner than you should have? And
No, I didn't. You know, to be fair, I took the advice and did the rehab stuff. I knew, clearly I knew by then it was injured, and that even moving was difficult. I knew competitive stress needs to come back at the right time, and that wasn't then. I knew that.
And were you happy with the treatment you got, or did it become tedious?
Oh, it was okay, to be fair. It was okay. It followed a routine. It followed a routine of initial stage, you know, medication, ice packs, mobility. You know, I didn't even move my shoulder. The physio moved my shoulder for me. And then it progressively became active. I started to take over. There started to be some active strengthening. There was talk about strengthening structures around and about. I did swimming. Swimming was really good. And then some work in the gym. Work in the gym was way down the line. It was very controlled.
So, did you agree with the doctor's diagnosis of the injury?
Yeah, inevitably you have to. Yeah, you start to take on board what's happened. Yeah.
Whilst you was like going through all these stages, through the routine and the medication, how did you stay motivated through it? Like, to keep
You don't.
going?
To be honest, you don't. Because it's a bit like that conversation you have where you say, no, I'm not hurt, and there's a bit saying I'm hurt. You're helpless. Your arm's in a sling. You know, you're on the bank. You're not in the boat. You can't go in the boat. That's the last thing you can do. You can go in a pool and swim. You can do mobility and stuff like that, but you're completely helpless. You can't speed it up. So you're just
struggling for motivation.
Well, you know, you're waiting for other people. You get an appointment. You get a couple of physio things a week. You know, the doctor doesn't want to see you for another month.
Yeah.
So you can't speed that up. So motivation dropped off as the season dropped off. You know, as you got to the end of the season, there's no more points to get. There's no comeback to be had until next season. So yeah, motivation sort of drops off a little bit, but there's a bit in your head keeps it alive.
Did you have one person in specific who kept you motivated the most, like a sports person or even a friend or family member?
To be honest, it wasn't a competitive coach. It was one of the other coaches spent a bit of time with me. The competitive coach had got his job with the squad and was away, and another coach spent time with me, and that was, to be fair, that was helpful. He could see that I was struggling.
Did he say to you like you could be on the podium next year, or the things you want to hear?
There was. It was very clever. He went through a process of sort of getting me to acknowledge and understand that it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you're right, to set out some plans. We started off with daydreams, just complete daydreams. Where do you see yourself? You know, which competitions will you pick? You know, how will you get back onto the water? What stages will you go through? How will you know when you're ready for competition? Yeah, and set targets. That was actually, so we started off daydreaming, and the season's fixtures, you know, the events were listed, so you could pick, we'll do this one. I've been to all of them before, so I knew how they ran, knew what conditions were. You could pick the right course, you know, pick one that didn't have those rocks in it, yeah. Pick one that was perhaps more of a speed event, you know, predictable. You know, it's not my strength, but I could pick up points, you know, just by having a straight line speed, less strain on the shoulder. So that worked.
Yeah.
That worked. I mean, the reality was, shoulder didn't make it.
And did you goal setting with your physios or your coach?
Yeah, it was that same guy goal setting, and some of it was for, wouldn't entertain me going back in a boat on the water until I hit certain targets, like complete the physio. Yeah, physio's report was good. Certain aerobic work in the gym, so I got my aerobic fitness back, and my mobility was measuring mobility, and so I've got certain targets to hit before I could even get it. And then there was a whole new set of targets when you're on the water. So it's straight line paddling, yeah, no changes of direction, just getting back into it, and everything was then left hand, yeah, on the good side. Do everything left hand, get the confidence up before we start doing gentle stuff. And the stuff on the right was, you weren't going through a gate, it was just like, make a right turn, no matter how long it took or how gentle it was. But it was only much later that you introduced, well, here's a gate now, go through that gate, do a left hand through it, do a right hand through it. So it was staged.
So can you remember the intervals, or with this sort of time?
It was over. It was there's a big pre-season lead-in. So given that all the rehab and the gym work was taking place during the winter period, there's a big pre-season lead-in, and I've got 2 months potential to be on the water.
Can you remember if your intervals were done by sort of how you were getting on performance-wise, or did they say after 2 weeks we're doing this?
No, it was performance-wise. It was performance-related. Because he knew I was going to cheat. I was going to say, yes, all right. They knew that.
Can you remember why they set the intervals?
Why they set the intervals?
Yeah, why they...
I think they probably had a better idea of... I mean, I'm the competitor, they're the coach. They had a better idea of the stages of rehab than I did. I just wanted to get straight back at it. They knew that you've got to have certain stepping stones, if you like. You know, the rehab, the physio. They knew that I've got to hit aerobic endurance targets, mobility targets before they dared put load on. So you know, strength training came down the line. And perhaps it was better that they organised that.
Did you continue playing after this, or at which point did you know you had to quit?
Obviously, I went into that pre-season training on the water, and it was going okay.
Yeah.
But I found, oh look, it was really weird because at first I was definitely nervous. You know, straight line work, okay, left turns, okay, right turn. You could tell I was nervous. You could tell I was holding back. You could tell I was sort of thinking, is it going to go again? I was putting in probably 70, 75% into it, and I wasn't putting 100% into it. And so they kept putting back, going through the gates, kept putting back, going off flat water onto rough water, because I wasn't hitting those targets. They didn't have the confidence that I was ready. So we used the whole of the pre-season. We did an event, to be fair. We went into an easy event, and I should have been in the top 5. And I came 15th.
Well, looking back, like obviously now that you've been out of the sport for quite
Yeah.
a while, looking back now, do you see the positives and the benefits that you've gained? I know at the time it's like quite hard to see them, but now you can look back and see where you are now.
I take your point. At the time, it was horrific. At the time, all you can see is everything that you worked for going, disappearing. Yeah, it's just not getting better. All you can see is it's getting further away, and that's all you want to do is compete. Now, hindsight's great, isn't it? So yeah, they made the right decisions. It was the right thing to do. But that took years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took years.
So at that point, when you finished 15th, was that when you decided to call it again?
No, you don't give up that easy. Any competitor doesn't give up that easy. So we scheduled another event, but there were a new set of targets now. New set of targets before they would let me compete. And I did the first run. And they pulled me out because it wasn't working.
Did you know yourself?
No.
So it was completely their decision.
Yeah, the adrenaline kicks in, the competitive nature kicks in, and you're away. You know, a lot of pressure because you're returning.
Yeah.
But coach pulled me for the second run.
Yeah.
What did he say when he pulled you out? So what was his excuse?
Said that I was risking an injury, risking the rest of the season. It was not worth picking up or getting the injury again that early in the season. It was good advice. It's not what I wanted to hear. It's good advice.
And now looking back, sort of, were you happy that they sort of pulled you out instead of letting you continue and
No.
risk further damage?
Good God, no.
I mean,
No.
looking back now.
No.
No.
No, it was the worst thing ever.
So,
It was the start of the end.
in your opinion, you'd rather have a shoulder that sort of has got a serious injury and have canoed for a few more years?
It's not the way you look at it. You don't look at it rationally. Yeah? That's for other people. Because you're fit. You're young, you're fit. You run through walls. You beat other people. You don't come 15th. All you see is a depressing future. So you deny it.
Do you reckon you could have turned professional then with your career?
No, it's not a professional sport. You can get sponsorship at the highest level. I was not that good.
No.
Yeah, I was never that good. So the elite squad, the UK elite squad, is very tiny. And no, I still have a daytime job. This was my hobby. Have a daytime job and bills to pay.
Was it ever a main event?
No. In reality, it was. You know, it's sort of like, I don't know, in other sports, sort of county standard. you know, bit better than just club standard. You know, you could go around the country, take part in events, see the same thing. You saw the same people. You know, they were at the same events. You know, there was a bit of, you know, competition between them. See if you could beat them. See if they could beat you.
Did your injury affect your day job in any way? Or did your day job sort of help with the recovery of your injury? Did it take you
No,
time
it
off
didn't
it?
really. No. No, you gave a good alternative. Yeah. Didn't sit at home moping about. But, no, it didn't affect me.
Alright. Thanks for the interview.
That's okay.
Hopefully you go on to teach people how to canoe and go professional. Well, not professional,
No,
but
no.
elite.